This meeting.
Vascular dementia, and to me it was a relief to find out what was wrong, because I was becoming moody.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes, you know, I would fly off the handle for no good reason.
Yeah.
And that was something I never was guilty of. I always kind of mild-mannered with you.
Yeah, yeah.
But, anyway, we went and saw our own doctor. He made an appointment to see Dr. McQuaig at Delta Hospital, Dr. Shaw. And I found out in short order I had dementia. In a way it was a relief, because I was thinking, well, it sounds silly, doesn't it? I was thinking there's something wrong with my brain. There is something wrong with my brain. But at least I knew what it was.
Right, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no cure for it,
Yeah.
but at least I can live with it.
Yeah.
And I can relate with other people with the same disease, and we help each other, you know, to get through it. And it's not a big deal, really. Someday there may be a cure, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I hope so. But in the meantime, knowing what's wrong with you,
It's different.
it's about 90% of your troubles are over.
You'd mentioned earlier when we were talking, Tommy, about what the doctor said to you when he gave you the diagnosis, and I think that they were wise words about go live your life, my friend.
He did. He did indeed.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
That's right. At the time he said that, it sounded kind of ominous.
Yeah.
I thought, this guy knows something I don't.
Yeah.
But no, he was right.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to do but go live your life, have a good time, you know, and live life to the fullest.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no cure for this disease as yet, but there's no use brooding about it either. And as long as you're capable of your daily tasks and getting around, then I think anyone in my position should use that.
Yeah.
I think it actually helps.
Yeah.
It lessens the burden, because you're not thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I let all my friends know
Okay.
I had been diagnosed. That was kind of selfish in a way, because I wanted them to know I had an excuse for my behaviour. No, I've been very lucky, and I'm very pleased to have come in contact with your organisation. It's made a very big difference in my lifestyle.
Both of you had the attitude that, okay, this is my diagnosis, now I know what's wrong.
Sure.
Let's just go and move forward from here. And
That's right.
Yeah. And that's what's worked for you.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Stuart mentioned his network of friends who've been really supportive through all this. It sounds like your experience is somewhat similar. You have your wife as well, who's extremely supportive.
Yes.
Where else do you get your support?
I'm a member of the Delta Amateur Radio Society.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
I'm not very active nowadays because I've lost a lot of my skills.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of friends in there.
Yeah.
And also have lots of friends in Ladner. We have coffee sessions every Friday morning, one group, talk about electronics and different things. And also we meet with other people during the week, even sometimes just for a visit to a thrift store or have a coffee. But life is to be lived.
Yeah, yeah.
And although I've had this diagnosis, I don't let it stop me from living.
Yeah.
And in fact, it makes it easier in a way, because if anyone does notice that I do something silly or forget something, then I have an excuse now.
How about you, Stuart? Were you fairly open with people about your diagnosis, or similar to
very. I mean,
situation?
Yeah, because I had such a great backup with people, and they're all interesting people too. So, I mean, they're all interested about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
you didn't feel the need to hold back from.
no, not at all.
No.
And yeah, and I think at some point, you know, from early on being gay, you know, you just push out of that and don't hide and just be who you are. And I guess
Not
a lot
so
of people
concerned about what the reaction might be.
yeah, because a lot of people, I guess, would be hiding it in some way, or you know, and I could see that.
Yeah.
If you were working, and you know, worried about stuff
Yeah.
like that. But you just have to, you know, move on.
Yeah.
And do
Yeah.
the best.
How've your kids been with it, Tommy? You've got two kids, 4 grandkids?
4 grandkids, yes.
How's that worked? How have they been with
Well, the range in age from 16-year-old now to 4-year-old. The 4-year-old and the 7-year-old, they're not quite sure what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they've realised that I forget things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've explained to them this is why I have been forgetting.
Right.
But any time I forget, you tell me. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like a game in a way.
Oh, that's good.
So that works out well. The 2 older ones, the 13-year-old one, he's taken it really well. He seems to be, hey, that's kind of neat, you know.
Something different.
Something different. And he doesn't let it faze him. You know, we've the same relationship. The 16-year-old is a little bit quiet about it.
Yeah.
I guess he has more knowledge of the import of this type of thing. And I think he feels sorry for me, but he doesn't quite know how to express it. But I try to...
A little worried, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to explain to him that, you know, I always had a credo that you worry about things that you can fix, and what you can't, you don't. You don't worry about it. And that's the way I look at this disease as well.
Nice to have them around, isn't it?
It is. It's excellent. They're a real morale booster.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nice to be in a place where you're not judged.
Yeah.
By strangers, if you like.
Yeah.
People first meet you, and you start talking, and then if you get into a conversation, and I can forget what they said when I first met. I'll forget their name, and I think, well, you know, what's wrong with this guy? But children are amazing. They take you for what you are.
They do, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah.
And my friends that I meet for coffee and so on, they're well aware of the thing as well. So I don't have any problems there. They accept me as I am, sort of thing. Yes. We talk about ham radio a lot, different things, electronics, and sometimes I will forget what I said 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But they understand that, and if they see I'm having a problem, they'll go back and
just remind you.
Yeah. Sure. So living with the disease is a big problem.
What have been the main symptoms so far for you, Tommy? I mean, you mentioned forgetting things sometimes. Have there been any other symptoms that have been sort of problematic for you to deal with that you've been having?
The biggest one was aggression.
Aggression, okay.
But that was before I was diagnosed.
Okay.
I think I knew myself there was something wrong, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And sometimes I become frustrated, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'll take it out on other people.
Yeah.
By being aggressive, maybe being short with them or something.
And that hasn't been an issue since the diagnosis?
No, being diagnosed was a big relief.
Yeah.
Because I knew where it was coming from, what was causing it.
Yeah.
And I figured the best way to deal with it was to let all my friends, or not even people I meet, say, if I say something, or if I fail to answer one of your questions, I hope you forgive me. I've been diagnosed with dementia, and I have a trouble remembering. And I find to be open with people. Most people nowadays are well educated and they know what's wrong.
Helps put them at ease a bit too, doesn't it? Yeah.
When I was a kid, someone with dementia was looked upon as a candidate for a mental asylum.
Yeah, the idea of it being craziness.
That's true, those days are gone, thank goodness. And I don't find any problem with it. It'd be nice if I had a cure.
Yeah, that's something to keep the fingers crossed for, isn't it?
Yeah, but the main thing is to live life as normally as you can.
Yeah.
And to keep your friends, don't hide from your friends, or be open with them, tell them what the trouble is. And I think most people that have the dementia will find that life goes on as normal.
Yeah.
People aren't afraid to give you a prompt when they
If you're reaching out, there's a hand there if you can bother to reach out.
Yeah.
So what about you? Symptoms? You mentioned before diagnosis the clock kind of mesmerizing you. And,
Right.
what other kinds of symptoms have you experienced since before before diagnosis, but since diagnosis?
Well, I think the most that have the most difficult is speaking.
Okay.
So that's still not really changed. It's still pretty, I think it's like the message getting broken. So I'm not very fluid. Frequently choke.
Okay.
So that's not very pleasant. And I used to be able to talk fairly well. And now I'm just kind of trying to get the information out the best I can. Certainly when I was a writer, so I can still do that, but part of that was being able to speak that way too, and that's real liability
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
So, but you know,
have good times and bad times too, though, don't you? There's times when the speech is a little
yeah, I
bit
have good streaks for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
That's hardly even 2 or 3 at the most, but it's not really changed that way.
Yeah.
So that's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But I'm able to actually convey what I'm trying to say, and I'm working harder on that. Working on vowels and stuff like that. So.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. You mentioned something earlier, Tommy, as far as something that twigged for you or for Patricia, for your wife, about this was pre-diagnosis, was when you were putting a screw in or something with drywall. And that was one of those red flags that says,
It was.
something's wrong.
Yeah, there were 2 instances. I was helping my son put gyprock on the roof of his garage inside,
Okay.
and we were down to the very last corner, and it was an irregular shape. It's all straight lines, but so anyway, I got a pencil and a rule, and went up and I measured it, and I drew it. I come down and I made a drawing on the drywall. I cut it all out, and I found out I cut it out upside down. It was like mirror image.
Now that would be something that I would do, but you were handy.
I was
That would
amazed
not
when
be
they did that,
something
quite
you-
honest,
Yeah.
because I paid a lot of attention because the last piece to go up, and I wanted it to go up nice and tape it and mud it and it wouldn't come down. And I was amazed when I saw what it done.
Yeah, so that was a red flag for you.
That was a red flag for sure.
Yeah.
And there have been other things when you look back on it.
Yeah.
That I should have got. Well, one time I was repairing a lock. I was taking an old lock off, putting a new one on, and I had the screws in my hand, a new Yale lock, and I tried to put the screw into the lock through, and I couldn't get it started.
Yeah.
And then when I looked at it, it was the wrong thread.
Okay.
Something like that I would never have done before. Yeah. But
That's the thing
it took
too,
me,
isn't it?
It took me about almost 10 minutes, I guess,
Yeah.
to realise that, I'm not winning here.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And then I thought, gee, that's a row of screws.
Yeah.
But things like that I would never have done before, really.
Yeah.
Or I would have discovered a lot earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I knew that screw was going in that hole, and I was determined it was going here.
Darn it.
No way. Eventually, I woke up, there's something wrong here.
Yeah, these are things, again, it's the change, isn't it? It's not so much the actual event or the actual act. It's the change from how you were before.
That's right.
What it is now. Some people would say, well, you're pretty articulate, Stuart. What are you talking about? But compared to how you were before, you don't feel that you're nearly as articulate as you were before. The words don't flow as easily as they did before. So, yeah, it's that change that's really significant. Both of you, driving can be a really hot issue when it comes to having dementia. Deciding when is a good time to stop driving, being aware that perhaps it's a good time to stop driving. Either of you drive? Stuart, what's the situation with you?
I probably stopped driving maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't know, it was not at a period where I was feeling like I had problems.
Okay. Okay.
But it's close enough that, you know, I might have, because I was, or I guess in many ways, when people have this dementia, you maybe go back into the past to find out more.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure, and there's a lot of things I've thought over time that were signs earlier, you know, and I don't know how that works out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, because there's not enough.
A case of hindsight being
Yes,
20/20
exactly.
or,
Because there isn't a lot of books still that are not giving you a lot of information about that kind of stuff and the signs and stuff like that. And I had a list of things that I thought, you know, but.
So how do you get around? You quit driving 4 years ago. How do you get around town?
On my bike.
Okay.
And I was always bike even when I had, you know, a vehicle too.
Okay.
But now I'm happy just as I always did. I love, you know, being on my bike.
Yep.
So.
And you still feel confident on your bike?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I sort of had this sense that when you've gone the same routes all over and over and over again, you can almost do it, you know, without even worrying about it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the pleasures now of me for now is not worrying out because in the last 2 or 3 years I would be turning around to do something and then I'd already be lost.
Okay.
Just going, you know, half a turn, and then you'd actually go another direction, and you go even further. You know, and so you're
get yourself turned.
Yeah, absolutely. And so being on the bike sort of in some way channels you on these tracks that you can rely on. You know. And still right now, if I go into an area that I haven't been there for a while, I'm going like, whoa, where am I now? And, you know, so the more I go on my bike, the more places that I keep on regularly routes, they keep it fresh, and I can remember, oh yeah, no, I just have to go there, and it'll just be around the corner. But I'm sure if I was away for like, you know, a couple of weeks or something like that, if I don't do that, I don't think it's quite liable that I'll just, you know, go.
Repetition's really important.
Yeah.
What about your network? Is anybody in your network going, oh, gee, Stuart, I don't know, it really makes me nervous.
Well, they're all saying that, you know, they're all happy about, or they're actually pretending that they are, but they're not going to go anywhere with that. Until
a few little, it's making me nervous kind of comments, is it?
Yeah, I haven't, you know, any crashes or anything like that, because, and I'm not driving crazily, and I've picked specific routes that I can rely on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going on, you know, heavy traffic places and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I would do that anyways.
Yeah.
So, I feel very, pretty good about that.
Good.
Yeah. And I think everyone's fine about that too.
Yeah. Good. So, do you tell me, you driving still?
Yes. Not nearly as much as I used to.
Okay.
I drive a one-ton truck, so I'm pretty safe.
You're safe, maybe not anybody else on the road time. No, I don't know. I don't know how you drive.
My driving is fine, actually.
Yeah.
But I get lost.
Okay.
So for that reason, I don't drive very often.
Okay.
Maybe once a fortnight, I go for gas or take the wife shopping or something.
Yeah.
Local.
Yeah.
And I can foresee the time is coming when I'll give in my license.
Okay. When do you think you would want to make that decision? Never mind somebody else telling you, gee, Tommy, it looks like it's time. How about for you? When do you think you would want to make that decision?
Well, actually, I think I'm going to make it fairly soon because, as I say, I'm fine driving locally.
Okay.
If the occasion ever arose where someone asked me to take them a long distance, I would have to either say no, but it could be a position you find yourself in where you can't say no.
Right.
So I think it's probably to save all concern, it's probably better to give the license in. And,
okay. So you're thinking sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than
probably.
later, sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Rather than wait till something bad happens,
Sure.
I should probably do it now, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that'll be a big transition for you? Or have you slowed down with the driving enough that maybe
Oh,
not
I've slowed
so
down,
much?
yes. I don't drive nearly, maybe, if I drive at all now, it's just in Ladner,
Yeah.
within, a 2-mile radius sort of thing. And I'm very familiar with the place,
Right.
I don't feel stressed. But if I go into Vancouver driving, I feel stressed, especially driving a big truck, because
Yeah.
it's the same width as a bus. And driving through Vancouver, you're always worried about cyclists.
Watch out for Stuart, that's right.
Buses and stuff,
Be afraid.
No, it's not worth it really when you look at it. We've got an excellent transit system in Vancouver, so and rather than hang on,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say here, just on my ego or something, I'd
Yeah.
rather give the license.
Yeah. It's better to make the choice yourself
Sure.
than have somebody say you got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like really both of you have done that, have gradually let go of that on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you that control, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And it helps. It helps to know that you made a decision rather than being forced into it, because it means you still have some control over your life
Yeah.
in
That's
that
important.
respect.
Any time, but it's important dealing with this disease in particular, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. It's a funny disease. It attacks everyone differently.
Yeah.
And I know where it comes from. I don't know where it started,
Yeah.
and there is no cure for it yet. So yeah, in that respect, it's a strange disease. I suppose someday the powers that be will have an
Something
answer.
maybe
But
that'll help a bit more.
but in the meantime, yes, it is a very strange disease the way it attacks you. I've been lucky so far.
And you had mentioned, Tommy, about just in terms of daily life, you spend a fair bit of time connecting with friends and
Sure.
the ham radio group and whatnot. How about you, Stuart? On a daily basis, how do you fill your days? What's your typical day like?
I read a lot.
Okay.
I usually go to Our Town,
Okay.
coffee shop,
Okay.
start off.
So the books in your backpack are not just for show. You actually
No,
read them.
no,
That's
they're
good.
there. Yeah, like I'm just getting out I go to the movies all the time, and galleries and stuff like that, and yeah, just
Out and about.
yes,
Possible.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sounds like another thing that the two of you have in common is not just sitting around the house and
Oh no, it's
letting time pass by. You're out there involved and engaged in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting the last bit of the bits and pieces from the government, and so I'm getting $60 for a laptop, which was paid for me, but I couldn't actually have the money, to do it, and didn't have the money to actually do that.
Right.
But also, I get now a bus. Yes.
Good.
Yes. So I can see at some point too,
Yeah.
down the road, that I might not be able to be on the bike too.
Yeah.
So that's good to know that I'll have that, and I do have it now as yesterday.
Which brings up a really good point in your situation. You're pre-pension. And for someone that's getting this diagnosis when they're young, a whole lot of different financial challenges than when you've already established a reasonable pension and, have things in place. This would have been a change of financial plans for sure for you as far as having to quit work at this stage of the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and I was working in a bookstore, so it wasn't much money then.
Yeah.
And there never was.
Yeah.
It had more expensive or more lucrative jobs for sure.
Yeah.
But certainly in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
4 years. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah. So, yeah.
Financial challenge is something that
it is.
You're dealing with a difficult disease, and you're trying to pinch pennies at the same time.
Yeah. and I still can't really figure out my money.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm never sure if I have money or not, and,
Okay.
and it's a mystery every time. So I'm trying to be very frugal, and I've always been that way, so I've had a few months where I got, oh, fuck. But most of the time, you know, I've managed, because I'm pretty good about that stuff. You know.
Yeah. And as you say, you've been like that pretty much your whole life, so that's been a good thing. You've developed those good frugal habits.
And I live in a basement, and it's not that great, I must say, but it's in a great area with good old friends and cousins and stuff like that. And it's a great place.
That's good.
And stuff like that. So.
Anything? Go back to you, Tommy. Anything on a daily basis that you just can't do yourself anymore, that you need help with, and those things. Who do you get the help from?
From my son, mainly, and my wife, of course.
Yeah.
And between us, we manage to do it, you know.
What kind of stuff? What is it right now that you can't do, and what is it you're adapting? You mentioned something about photography when we were talking earlier.
Yeah, it's been a hobby for a long time. And I found that the new cameras were just too complicated to operate properly. So I had to go back to a point and shoot.
Okay.
and it's just now, well, today, the point and shoot isn't quite as good, of course, but they're very good cameras.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been a big problem for me. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I still do lots of photography because it gets me out in the open.
Yeah.
Go for walks, you know. And I still enjoy doing photography.
So you've taken something where it could have made you decide to just drop the hobby altogether, and you found a way to still stick with it.
Stick with it without any problems.
Yeah.
My young brother's happy with that. He got all my camera gear. But life goes on. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
And